Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. This is your host, Tracy Hayes. Best of the best again in the house today. I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes from my phone and I don't have my glasses on, so bear with me. Welcome back. And another best of the best on the show today. These two ladies have skyrocketed their business and were recognized most recently in the Jax Real Producers magazine. When you meet the team, you will understand why our motto is creating realty excellence. We are a team of certified specialists who serve the real estate buyers, sellers, and investors. Our goal is to put our experience to work for you. We are a team not just with experience, certifications, and accolades, but also heart. Here for you, let's welcome the team of hearts of Momentum Realty, Team Heather and Danielle, Heather Strazinsky and Danielle Rodriguez to the show.
Thank you.
Ooh, sorry, we're in a hot room and I'm sweating it out and reading it off my phone. So bear with me here, not my normal show. We're mobile today and I'll cool down here in a few minutes. But ladies, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having us.
We were able to talk. Geez, it's just pouring here. I'm gonna go jump in a pool.
It's hot lights.
Hot lights. Yeah, I picked the hottest room in the whole office here. We met at the Real Producers, and then I obviously was doing some research on you guys. Obviously, Heather, you started earlier in the business in about 2014.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then Danielle, you joined her in 2018. So I'm interested in how you guys, met at the brokerage you guys were at. I assume that's where you originally met, or did you guys know each other before?
We didn't know each other before.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yep.
So that's a story in itself right there. So, but Heather, you grew up in Ohio.
Yes.
Correct. So let's start there. Tell us, growing up in Ohio, and what brought you to Florida?
Oh my. So I grew up originally in the Cleveland area, then moved to Toledo, then Columbus, then Akron, Canton, then here.
Mm-hmm.
What brought us here was we were sick of the snow. Ohio is overcast and snowy, and we wanted sunshine, and my sister lived here. And I don't know if that says anything about me, because right after I moved here, my sister left. But she had been here for like 20 years.
Wow.
She went to college here and never came home. So we just picked up, moved the family. It took a lot of planning. It was about 4 years of planning before we actually got here, but it was one of the best decisions we've ever made. So,
did you go to college? Did you do any formal education?
I
study everyone's LinkedIn. Everybody, all my fans know that I do that. So It wasn't anything on your LinkedIn at the time that I looked at it.
Yes, I did a year. I was going to college at night. I was working 2 jobs during the day and weekends. And then that pretty much stopped. I got married, and then that was enough of that. And then I had my sons.
Right. If I recall, you were basically a stay-at-home mom.
Correct.
I don't want to mix your guys' 2 stories up because I was studying both of you, obviously, there.
For quite some time, yes.
For like 10 years, if I recall correctly on your... Okay. And then, Danielle, where are you from?
I am from Fairfield, New Jersey.
Are you a Eagles fan or a Giants fan?
Giants.
Good. Very good. We got something great, yes. I don't like
Fairfield
those people.
is north.
I don't like those people either. Although they're, the new coach of the Jaguars, Doug Peterson, came down, and I do officiate the practices for the Jags, and they were practicing on the actual field because the practice fields are being redone. They're doing some. I think they're putting in restaurants or something around them, or anyway. So they're standing there, and he comes out of the tunnel. Before practice, the players are just out there stretching and stuff like that. And somehow, we caught eye contact, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I remember we're probably about the same. He might be a little bit older, maybe. And he just came right over to me and like, "Hey, Doug Peterson." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, coach. Yeah, hey, welcome." So that's my Philadelphia thing. That's the only reason why I would like them at all. But otherwise, I hate them. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan too.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of Giants games.
Yeah. So, what brought you? Are you going to go to the one this year that they're in town? I haven't bought tickets myself. They're playing the Jags, I think October 23rd or something like that. Yeah. But what brought you to Jacksonville area?
Family, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I moved a good 25 times in
my
life. And a lot for work. But once we got married and started a family, my parents were already here. My sister, his parents, his sister, both of our brother, my husband and our brothers are still in New Jersey, but everybody was here, so we just wanted to be
What's
closer.
what's the best? I mean, of all 25 times, and you move like different states or more locally moves, or
Actually, really between Florida and New Jersey.
Oh,
I
wow,
lived
just
in
staying on the
South
East Coast.
Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
I worked in Pompano and Miami, and then all throughout New Jersey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was just out this past week at a mortgage, we'll say mortgage convention event or whatever you want, in Tahoe. I've never been to Tahoe. Oh, what a beautiful place that is, Lake Tahoe. No humidity. And of course that lake doesn't get, I guess like it was like on the surface it was 63 degrees, so it keeps everything just like,
Wow, that's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, it's like October here. It's like, if that. So, I'm trying to get them off my normal train of thought. Apologize for that because I can't read my my notes off my phone. All right, so we know what your story was, and you going. What leads you up to real estate? I mean, were you in the other places, or did you just really when you joined? Can we say RTR? Can we say? Is that okay? I always add it sometimes.
It's part of
people
our
don't.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what led you up to Round Table Realty? Was that your first real estate experience, or did you work some other?
No, but yes. I guess what led me up to real estate, I was helping Heather. So we had met prior to real estate. We were both in the same network group, doing 2 different businesses.
Oh, okay. All right.
Unbeknownst to
So
anybody.
she started the realtors. So this is between 14 and 18. Her being a real you were a stay-at-home mom. Is there a network for that?
I was selling jewelry for multi-level marketing.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I was
okay.
doing that in the network group.
Okay.
So
That's something
November
new.
of actually
You need to put that on your
2013.
You need to put that on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You should put that on your LinkedIn.
November of 2013, we both joined a network group. I had my own organizing business. She was a jeweler. And then while we were in that group, she had transitioned into a real estate agent, but nobody in the group knew that because we already had an agent in the group.
And I follow rules.
Yes.
Always follow rules. So when she came out as a real estate agent, she kind of took that spot because the other agent had left. And she was getting pretty busy, and I was making some calls for her, and I was also doing jewelry as well.
Right.
And at one of the parties that I was doing, a broker, I didn't even know she was a broker, sorry, Laura, said, have you ever thought about doing real estate? And I said, well, I know so many agents, I could throw a rock and hit like 25 of them.
Yes.
And I was already doing like some phone work for her. And she was like, oh, you'd be fantastic. I said, well, I don't know. Like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a broker.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. So, it kind of, I had always, like a lot of people have always thought about, doing something like that. And I guess it was just the right time, the right place. And
Well, let's just take a step back. So, tell us about how you guys initially met at this Was it at the networking
Yes.
thing? So, okay.
Yeah.
So it was just a group of, was it an official B&I type group, or just a group of ladies getting together and exchanging business? What's
it was a local group.
It wasn't an official B&I, but it was that type of group.
Right.
So we had, oh my gosh, at the beginning there was 20 plus people.
Yeah, at one point we had like 30 plus people. in
very
the group.
more an informal B&I group sounds,
We had weekly meetings, and you were supposed to be there, and you're supposed to pass referrals, and
Okay.
they
It is
just
structured.
didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, they just weren't under the B&I heading.
Right.
So I didn't know about the multi-level marketing stuff. I have had there's been plenty of top producers that I've had on the show, whether it's with Mary Kay and some of the others. What are some of the things that I assume you were selling stuff, you went to the networking thing, but was your multi-level marketing also, pushing personal development? What are some of the things that they...
It was. I was lucky to find Premier Designs back when I was living in, Canton area. Had gone to a party, and they said, you should do this, and you're like, yeah, whatever. But I started doing it, got very successful at it, had a team of 75 under me, was going to the events, winning all these awards and everything, meeting women, getting women into it, such as Danielle and several other people you have actually interviewed were on our Premier Designs jewelry team.
Interesting.
And the funny thing is, I moved here, and I didn't have a business here. So I started real estate to meet women.
Ah, so I see. Interesting. And it just folded into something
And
else.
so we went down and real estate went up.
Interesting. Well, I know because a lot of the multi-level marketings, I've been involved in different ones through the years, probably nowhere near as successful as you were there, but they all pushed a personal development. If you went to any of their events,
Yes.
they were bringing on keynote speakers.
Tons of them.
Yeah.
They were great about that. They were very, they were involved in you. Unfortunately, they have gone out of business now, but they were extremely successful and kind of brought in all these really great speakers. Nick Vujicic, I think, was one of the ones. He has no arms and no legs. He was a fabulous speaker.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And just talking about growing as a person and being able to overcome your obstacles and things like that, and was just a very wonderful speaker. And they really just pump you up.
Yeah.
They were in business for over 30-something years,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Well, there's, I've said numerous times on the show, if you're not finding that event, a good podcast or a good book, something that keeps, to me, it's like keeping your plate spinning. We all need that little adrenaline hit or whatever, and you hear something positive. If you're listening to a podcast on the way in, or maybe it's music, maybe you listen to music and it gets you pumped up. But sometimes you need that, some people are, you need that positive energy or even a new thought or something that just like gets your day going, keeps you going. Because obviously, all the things we've got going on in our lives, kids or whatever, it's ups and downs and, this and that. But we got to go to work and we got to have that, that positive mojo going.
You do, I think, and we find it in several different ways. We're very, very similar. It's crazy because we will talk 20, 30 times a day. Even on vacation, we'll talk. I mean, it's insane, and we'll talk late into the night. I'll call her, she'll call me, text messages go back and forth.
Right.
It's like we kind of pull that even out of each other.
Yin
And
and
still
yang.
Yes. And we are very, very different in our lives as to where we are. My kids are, one's graduated college, one's in college. Hers, one's in high school, the other one's going into high school. We're like here and there.
This girl says she's been married for 25 years.
25
I'm like,
years.
Did you get married at 10?
Yes. We start young in Ohio.
So you guys are going this, just like you met each other and just clicked and just started hanging out?
We became friends. I don't think we were hanging out all that much.
Right.
We just became really good friends, and we started talking. And then when we started, she joined the jewelry business with me. Then we really started spending a lot more time together. And then when she got into real estate, we would have been inseparable.
You were in real estate when you actually met her, but you were doing it to meet people.
I was.
Yeah, okay. All right. You're approached by the broker, but then you knew she was in real estate.
Right.
Okay. So
when I got my license, she mentored me. I was in another brokerage for about a month, but it just wasn't working out. She was helping me pretty much do everything and training me and teaching me. So she kind of went to back, because I did go to Roundtable first.
Howard, plug your ears.
yeah.
And interviewed, but they weren't taking on new agents at the time.
Right.
So he sent me away. But Heather was still helping me.
Right.
And after about a month of that, she just kind of went into the office and said, "That's it.
Yeah, bring her
Bring
over.
her here.
Bring her over. Yeah. Yeah.
Done with this. Bring her on." So, it kind of became like that mentor, relationship and stuff. And, she was just getting so busy, and you could just do so much as one person.
Right.
And it just kind of evolved organically from there.
Well, and I know you guys have changed brokerage over to Momentum, which has been what, a year or so?
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah,
Right about that.
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
And-
spring.
Yeah.
Talking to a lot of the different agents, and there's very few that have been with the same one. I can think of two off the top of my head that have actually been with the same brokerage pretty much their whole career, like 15 years. But most of them have changed, because I think there comes a point where you're no longer, the broker hit their lid in what value they can give you. Right, you're growing your business. You maybe started with them and they were really good to get you started, but then to go on to the next level, and I'm not saying Howard's this particular situation, I'm just saying in general, you reach a lid and then you're like, okay, I got to reach out to someone who's going to pull me to the next step. in that.
Right.
Doing. I know Howard runs a tight business. He has obviously, a lot of agents that, well, lack of better words, Howard, worship you, but they say great things about you and what support you have. You guys saw something different in Momentum. What was it that was it Brittany or John? Who caught your eye there?
I think it was Bruce to begin with, who's not there anymore. But I think it was just different. I mean, our stepping stones got us to where we are. And we have a great relationship with Howard and Keith still, and we, talk to them and hugs and everything. Mm-hmm. Momentum is very different from Roundtable. I feel like Roundtable is very much a family atmosphere, and Momentum's a business atmosphere. I just feel like those two atmospheres were differently. And we just wanted a little bit of a different push. Maybe someone to say, get off your butt, do this.
Right.
I think just like every agent is different, what they want to put in, what they want to get out. I think so is every brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even, the mom and pop brokerages, not like the Watsons or the Coldwell Bankers or anything. But even those brokerages, I mean, what they put in and what they get out are different. And it's just, finding that fit. I have wonderful things to say about Roundtable Realty.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the brokers there.
Right.
But, sometimes you just get to a point where, your needs change or shift and you just need to find a better fit for that time.
Right. Yeah, and that goes to my point there. No brokerage has everything. Like you said, the difference was family versus business, and that setting was better for you at this time in your career.
Right.
From that standpoint. Howard runs a tight business over there. Everyone has great accolades. What are some of the things that you'd say, 2 or 3 things that, that Howard or someone at Roundtable Realty taught you, showed you that really started to move your business?
Contract.
Yeah.
Howard knows the contract.
Right.
Yeah.
So we know the contract. I mean, the man knows the contract inside out, every which possible way. And being able to, I think, even explain that to your clients, your customers, whoever you have, is huge. And them having faith in you that you know what you're doing, that changed a lot of things.
Well, you were just on a phone call pre-show.
Yeah.
With a contractual situation. You had to remind someone what's in the contract, and you're confident enough that on that phone you didn't have to reference the contract because you are confident enough, you know it very well, to come back and say no, you can't do that, or whatever you were telling them on the phone there. Yeah. So that one of the common themes that I hear is education. You started about 4 years difference. You were getting some tutelage from you, but Heather, you kind of came in more like, hey, I want to meet people. So was education really learning real estate important for you those first couple of years?
Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
Knowing Heather.
I'm a huge sponge. I want to know. I need to know. I quickly transitioned into real estate being my full-time job within the first, I think, year.
Yeah.
So it was very short-lived that I was trying to do the jewelry portion of it. But there's so much to real estate.
It
so
was a
many
hard
rules.
transition for you, though. Because you had done the jewelry for
It was
long
a bittersweet.
time and had a lot of women
Yeah. I had to leave my team.
on her team. Yeah.
I left my jewelry team and basically said, there's 75 women under me.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to leave that team, and I'm like, you're going to roll up to the next person.
Right.
But it was necessary, and it needed to be done because my heart wasn't in it anymore.
Right. That's important. So you start to realize there's more potential here. You start digging in. What are some of the things that you did we'll just talk about on the educational theme that you did initially, that when Danielle decided to come on full time, you're like, you need to get on. We already talked about the contract.
Right.
That's a no-brainer. But what are some of these? I mean, were you going to NEFAR? Were you going to events? I don't know, if what Roundtable has in-house training. What are some of the things that you dug into to really shorten your learning curve?
I love trainings. I love trainings. I love Googling things and finding trainings that you never knew were there. And I love apps and resources. And I have found a lot that were very, very helpful. that, I think right away we were kind of talking about, like, so use this app when you're out showing houses and you need to find a restaurant that's near you. There's an app for everything.
Right. There almost is, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing which Danielle was easy right away with her is, talking, communication. Communication is huge. So when we talk to our clients, I'm an over communicator, and I'm read that back to me.
Now, did that come naturally for you, or is that something that
It's just natural.
you saw some other agents doing, or they, there's a lot of things we get trained on, and they say, hey, do this, do that, but who does it, right? There's, and that's why those things keep getting trained and trained and trained, because there's only a small percentage that really executes it. So was it naturally for you, just when you got transaction, just to be talking to them?
It is. I think it was natural for me, and my big thing is I don't like to wonder. I need to know what is going on at all times. And I felt like our clients did the same thing. And, we have like circumstances where something happened to me and I didn't know what was happening, but this person was working it behind the scenes, but I had no idea. So I was angry at them. But had they told me, hey, I'm working on this, let me get right back to you, and then touched in every 3 hours or so just to let them know your day didn't get away from you, you're still working on it.
Right.
But that's something that I think right away we kind of picked up on together when she came on, and she just picked up right away, and it was more the natural of trying to coincide our tones, because I'll read something some way and she'll read it a completely different way. I'll read it with a tone of, I hate text messages and the fact that you cannot tell their tone. So you have to use emojis, and you have to use smiley faces, and you have to, what do I say? Start with fluff and end with fluff. How are you doing today? By the way, your contract wasn't accepted. I know you're going to have a great day because we're going to find you an awesome house. So.
That was a learned trait. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I love and trust everyone until they prove me differently, and I just say, and I get right. I'm too bottom line sometimes.
Yes.
That I have to put the emoji.
It's Jersey.
Yeah.
So that was something, because we're both straight shooters.
I'm from New York, so that's why. Yeah.
Been doing sales pretty much my whole life. So in communicating, I would just get right to the point, because that's no fluff, no.
I got things to do. You got things to do. Here's the situation. Here's how we're doing.
But like she said, and it wouldn't be anything wrong in the text, but you can't hear tone. Right? So you can read one sentence, and I sent her a video.
Literally yesterday about this whole thing.
Found on TikTok that these two guys were having conversations, and the one is receiving the text, and he's like, oh, he said that, I was this, and oh, isn't that nice? Meanwhile, he's saying it, well, you're, blah, blah, blah. And it's just so funny to see the difference in the same text, and that's what we are. Yeah. So she'll always hear it a little harsher than maybe I would. I'm like, well, I don't know if they really meant it that way, so it made me more conscious of how I put text messages out, because I don't want anybody to misinterpret it.
Yeah. I gotta add the smiley faces and stuff, because I see quickly the next text comes across like oh man, no.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. Right, exactly.
Their tone of the next text coming back, I'm like, no, that's not them. That's not what I meant. Hold on, we have that same Northeast
and I
tone.
told her, I said, listen, if I meant it bad, I would go Jersey on them, and they would know. Oh, it wouldn't be any,
I back up, and I'm like, she's going Jersey, I'm backing up.
I've told this story numerous times on the podcast before. When I was at the call center at Quicken Loans and Loan Depot, that's that my boss. He told me that he'd be listening to the call. He could tell. They would actually they needed a second voice, put me on with that New Yorker, because sometimes you have to say no to them.
Yes.
And they're pounding, and everyone's like trying to be polite. It's like, no, at some point you just say no. And we have some of our foreign friends. I've mentioned this before. That's their culture,
right?
And it's the same way, the New Yorker personality type or whatever, that they want to label on us. So so we were talking about a couple things that you took from Roundtable. That how we're talking. We kind of went off on a little tangent there.
We do that all the time.
Single agency.
Yes.
Is one of the big ones.
Yeah.
The different relationships that you can have with your
clients.
clients.
He is big on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Very big on
that.
that.
Was kind of drilled into us. and just, putting your client first. Their motto is people before property,
Right.
and they absolutely believe in that.
Yeah.
And that's where we started our tagline.
Right.
Was when we were at Roundtable.
Yeah.
The excellence tagline.
Creating realty excellence.
Creating realty excellence, yes.
Yep.
And I think this, I don't know if it, that obviously at Howard's, that's his culture. He's created that over there. The other top agents that I've had on, they do talk about how important it is, building relationships. We talked a little bit about that pre-show, but building relationships with your customers and how important that is. And is it something that came naturally for you, each of you, or is it something you kind of actually at the beginning had to kind of set a goal or set some steps in the process that you're going to work on that relationship with that customer, to put that customer first? Because I think some people, it just comes naturally. They just have a gift of gab. They hang out. Hey, you're from wherever? And no, great, blah, blah, blah. And it just comes, that's just their personality. And they get along. And next thing you know, they're having lunch and dinner together and so forth. Where for me, I have to, not that I don't want to build a relationship for it, but I have to actually engage because I'm more bottom line. I'm not, don't want to invade on their life. They have their thing. They're asking me to do a service for them. I'm not thinking about that part, but that is part of our business. So is it, again, something naturally, something, or maybe you guys tweaked over time? How did you develop that?
I think
Are you better today at it than you were 5 years ago?
I think we're better today, but I think it did come natural to us because we're just those kinds of people.
Mm-hmm. Do you attract a lot of New Jersey clients?
So I mean, we get a lot of clients just normally from up north, and
Right.
It's so funny because they're either from New York, New Jersey, or Ohio.
Well,
So
you may be
they
subliminally
get-
attracting
yeah.
those people. Yeah.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
we're fortunate that way, and I think we really connect with most of our clients.
I think so. And we were lucky that, Momentum and then Roundtable, and I had Remax and you had Caldwell before that, but our two most recent, obviously Momentum being now and Roundtable, both preached loving your clients, loving your clients, loving your clients.
Right.
So we were very lucky with that came naturally for us, and that's what they preached, and they even helped you get better at it.
You talked about communication a few minutes ago. Do you have hard stops in your process? Now, maybe you naturally would have already talked to them, so you just go through it, but you make sure that if you haven't talked to them in a couple of days or in the steps, and I know initially, obviously, you get under contract, there's a lot of things going on. Get the home inspection done and so forth, but sometimes, you might have a 60-day closing because that's what they chose to do. Do you have hard stops in there to make sure, hey, I'm at least calling them once a week or every 3 days? What?
We annoy the crap out of them. We have a phenomenal CRM that took us a long while to put together.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds us, because, when you have so much going on, it's easy for something to fall through the cracks. And that's something that we never, ever want to happen. So we'll have it, text them, call them, even through a 12-month build, because that's easy for that person to fall through the cracks.
Right, yes.
It's crickets, and we don't want that because they're just as important as the one that's closing in 2 weeks.
Right.
So we are constantly.
And in this area, they're telling their friends what neighborhood they're moving
Yes.
into. So staying in touch with that 12-month build might get a couple referrals for you.
And that's a very long process, and that's stressful for them.
Yep.
It's insanely stressful. So we try to throw ourselves out there. Besides texting and calling, we do client appreciation events, we do pop buys, we were just renting out a movie theater, invited all of our
Yes.
clients into that, and so we really
Was that just a past client thing? Or?
That was our past and current clients.
Okay. All right. Because I think a lot of people, they don't, I think the common citizen doesn't realize, and whether it's a loan officer or the real estate agent, a good part of your day is obviously trying to get new business.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also catering to them who are in process. But also it's part of your business to maintain those past relationships, because that's a whole source of business for you. And then to realize that you're working these things, you have to, if you're any good, you're working those all the time.
Mm-hmm. All the time.
Yeah, every week you've got it on your schedule. What do you guys do though personally? And go back. Do you guys you seem to just take information from anywhere? YouTube or right. You're just
I
wherever
love
you.
information.
I mean, you click on and Grant Cardone's saying talking about something, you probably listen to it, right?
I listen to everything, and she just hates it. I'll text her, I'm like, guess what I found? She's like, no. I'm like, well, we're going to change this and implement this.
So you're the visionary.
I find it, and if it's too techie, I make her do it. I'm like,
She
and I always
finds
say,
it, I figure out how it works.
Right.
Right.
I'll be like, so we're going to do this, and I always be like, and by we, I mean you, right? You know that, right? So.
Sarah Rocco gave me the book Rocket Fuel, and it talks about visionaries and integrator, and every great visionary has to have a great integrator. You guys ought to read that to see, and there's a little quiz in there.
That'd
see
be
what,
interesting.
yeah,
It's
not that long.
perfect.
Yeah, and it talks about obviously over in history, who was the great visionaries, and then who was the integrators, and ideally you need both. You need that person that can see that 30,000 foot level, go, oh man, what would this do to our business? But then the integrator has to step in and say, all right, to make this happen, this is what has to happen, and then if you do that, then this is going to affect that.
And we have our strengths, and we've learned. It took some tweaking, I think, but we've learned who's good at what and who's got something else. And so now the parts I'm good at, I just run and go with. The parts she's good at, she runs and goes with. And if she finds something that I need to do, she gives it to me. If I find something, we go back and forth.
That's sort of a great team.
Yeah, like on Canva, I cannot design things. I will sit there for 5 hours on a little tiny post because I have to move lines perfectly. And so I'll text her, I'm like, here, I need this. And she'll have it to me in like 15 minutes.
Yes.
I can't do that.
All right, so you're both at round table. What said, was it immediately that you guys you told Howard she needs to come on. Mm-hmm. So was it immediately like she needs to come on and we're going to be a team?
No, we didn't know
Or just
that.
like, hey, let's just, you need to bring Danielle on.
We didn't know that at first. I mentored her, so I helped her
about
with
6 months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then it got to we were just kind of talking, and we're like, well, why don't we just partner up?
So how important was it to have, she had about 4 years experience at that point?
Me, I probably had about,
when Danielle came on.
Right.
So I've been almost 9.5 years almost.
Like 14 and 18, right? Roughly 3.5, 4 years. How important was it to Danielle? How important was it to kind of get her mentorship? I mean, really get you up to speed. How important was, having that confidant, that more or less in-house coach, I guess is what it.
Well, I knew what I had in Heather. That being said, it was very important to me because, like I said, I came from sales. I was regional sales manager. I did a lot of training. I opened offices. I hired people. I had a certain way of doing things.
She is the integrator.
But when we partnered with jewelry,
mm-hmm.
and I was on her team, I saw she was very similar
mm-hmm.
in what she did, how she did it, how she trained, how she, mentored and did everything. So I knew what she was made of. I knew what her comfort levels were. I knew what her level of success was.
What in the world?
We just lost power.
Yeah, we did.
That's Shocker! This is Heather and Danielle right here. This is normal for us.
Not even kidding.
And we're back. Thank you for that brief interruption. We're back now.
Did it knock us off the? No, it's still record. Well, because this got its own battery.
Oh.
Yeah, it's because I'm powering this back up. It pops in your ear a little bit.
Yeah, I took it off because it went out.
What was the word I was looking for? Your level, your
I don't know.
ethical
I don't know.
standard
Depends on what you're going to
is
say to
what
me.
that's what I was trying to get at. Your ethical.
We'll see how this goes. All right, we're still recording.
And we're still live.
All right.
This is a Heather and Danielle
So you
moment.
so you got to know Heather with the jewelry.
Yes.
So when you came on Realty,
So when I got my license, I knew if I wanted to fast track, which we're very similar that way, we want to know something and we want to master it very quickly. I knew that would happen if I partnered with Heather. I knew we had the same ethical standards, work ethics.
Right.
And I knew she was somebody I could trust, which is a huge thing for me.
Yeah, I'm the type of person, if I don't
Yeah,
trust somebody, I can't be in the same room with them.
I mean,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And she can trust me. Like this morning, I got a phone call from some random person who, it was a referral, had no idea who it was. I could have very well just kept my mouth shut and kept, because I have my clients, she has her clients, and then we work together clients.
Right.
But neither one of us is like that.
So, well, what I get to is, new agents. Say if a new agent's watching or listening here, how important is it? And Heather, I didn't ask who you might have joined on here. If you want to expand on this, how important is it to really like a new agent coming on, or maybe an agent who's struggling, who hasn't had a mentor, to find that person?
Are they working outside or something?
I mean, it's still recording. You just don't have.
I'm on Facebook. Yeah, you know what? Let's. Well, I don't want any lights.
No lights, no audio, just
Actually,
us.
yeah, it's actually not. Oh,
But I don't. Are the mics working?
the mics. Oop, there it goes out again.
They must be working on something.
That sounds like the
The alarm?
I don't think they never turned it. They did. Joe says it doesn't turn it on. The emergency lights are on because the lights went out.
I've watched too many horror movies because I'm waiting for someone to come running down the hallway.
Freddy Krueger?
Too many of those horror movies. That's so bad.
And we're back.
Again.
This is typical.
Is it?
It's got to be
We
like
have
our
weird
charge.
moments all the time.
We'll see how this one puts together.
I'm telling you.
Everyone's watching on Facebook Live. Everyone's watching.
Hi, we just have weird stuff happen to us. We show up in the same outfits and the
Oh, good
same
gracious.
jewelry. It's ridiculous. We have so many pictures now of us showing up in either the exact same outfits or very similar outfits, and we're just, that's the point, we have to call each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have to
What
show
you're
each
wearing
other
today.
what we're wearing because today we came in with the same necklace.
Yeah,
I'm like, of course.
like I give up.
And it's funny because I was going to wear a red tie.
I saw your, I was like, oh,
It's not gonna happen. Are we Facebook Live?
We are Facebook Live. That is
Happy
still on.
loss.
We're
trying.
We're trying.
We're trying.
Okay. We won't tell anybody where we're at. All right, let's see.
It's just an obstacle to
All right,
overcome,
just
that's
got
all.
15 more minutes here. Well, jeez.
They
We
have lots
are
to be-
adaptable if we are anything.
I know. Yeah, we are.
We'll do it in the dark.
Well, the sound, the
I know,
sound
the
will
sound.
only be to the Facebook, to the
Right.
to the microphone on the iPad.
Oh, we're loud.
It is true.
All right, let me well, in the dark, yeah. I don't know if we can get the shades up anymore.
We're just setting the mood.
This is a hurricane podcast.
That's right.
The
You didn't know there was one.
The apocalypse has started.
That's
We're still
right.
talking real estate.
All right, let's see how well this
Like
mic
a zombie
picks up.
walks by outside. I'm done. I'm out.
We'll get right to the point. We'll have to have you guys back on here, and we'll see how well this actually records. Okay. Yeah. So my last question was. We're
So,
talking
yes,
about
it was
a
important
new
to
agent.
partner with.
How important is a new agent? I guess we'll speak up so that makes sure that iPhone microphone picks up.
Yes.
But how important is for a new agent to find someone like that, a mentor, a partner, to get their business moving?
I think it's crucial. I mean, as a new agent, you don't know what you don't know. And as an agent, there's a lot to know.
Mhm.
So having somebody who has already gone through the pitfalls and, the do's and don'ts,
Right.
like I said, I mean, partnering with her, I knew was going to fast track me. And,
Well, how did you? Because we talk about mentor, but also one of the things I like to talk about on each show is choosing what brokerage you want to go to. So how did you end up actually choosing Howard? How did you fall into that? We didn't.
Howard chose me. Well, I live on Realtor Row.
Yeah, that's what I call it.
So I live in Durban, and on my street, I think there are roughly 9+ of us, and the majority of us are at Round Table.
Interesting.
So I was there first. I was the fourth house built. I was there first.
Who's doing the market update for your neighborhood?
There are a couple people in there doing it.
That's right.
I just watch it go back and forth, and I'm like, it's crazy.
Well, I live in St. John's Golf and Country Club, and there's been a lot of senior agents that live there. Some still do, some move out, and so everyone kind of like just sits back and lets the non-agents who want to choose an agent, and then but they do all get upset when they choose someone who's not in the neighborhood.
Right. I know that's the funny part. Yeah, it was the funniest thing because then Howard kept talking to me, and then it was. When you're at a brokerage, there's a fine line usually when you can jump to another one.
Mm-hmm.
You got your deals and everything like that.
Yes.
And so he kept talking to me. It was not a good time because we had some health scares with some, what my son basically in our family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now. And then I called him. I'm like, okay, I'm ready, but I need to jump tomorrow. So he made it happen. And
So you did not start off with Howard then?
I started off at Remax on San Jose.
Oh, okay. All right, that is not in your LinkedIn account there.
Yeah, I'm not very good with keeping LinkedIn up to date.
Yeah.
Did you update it last night?
I did update it last night. He texted me and said, okay, your brokerage is wrong, your pictures. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't updated that at all.
Oh gosh, I
yeah.
don't even know when the last time I was on LinkedIn.
All right.
I didn't even start my LinkedIn. Somebody else started it for me.
I do have the audio going now. We have power back on. Let's see how well this goes. Actually, we're playing.
I can hear you again. So
Yeah. Yeah. We'll clean up this audio. I know you guys got to get that. Make sure the
pizza next time.
okay. Yeah.
I feel like with a podcast should be pizza.
Pizza podcast. Okay,
There you
that's
go.
well. There has been talk of having him later in the afternoon with the cocktails.
I was gonna say,
Oh, we're game for that. We're game for that one.
Oh, it's getting the echo. I got the source for that button right there. Does that? Okay. All right. Hopefully, I apologize everyone for the audio. With power going in and out.
Like 5 times.
So the importance of interviewing, talking about that new agent, finding a mentor. How important is them to interview the broker? You're not going for a job. This is where you're going to bring your business, and how important it is to them to truly interview that broker to make sure they line up.
I don't think most agents realize that they're the one interviewing the brokerage to see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when the agents come in and they're like, oh, so-and-so wants me, I'm like, honey, they all want you. Like, who do you want?
Exactly.
And I don't think people really realize that at all. And I think it's huge because you brought up a really good point. There's so many brokerages out there and they fit every personality. Just which one are you? Mm-hmm. Do you fit this one or this or this?
That it's interesting that you're giving me thoughts. I'm trying to see how this business. Here's my visionary part of me. I'm in a transition part of my business. I'm talking. I've got a coach, and I'm talking through it. And they're like, "Hey, how do you want your business to run?" Well, I know how the business runs. For the most part, there's still new things of how people do the loan officer business, as there's realtors do their business different ways, whether just a individual or a small team or a large team or whatever. Everyone does it a little differently. So when you have that knowledge, then you just sit back and say, okay, this is how I want to run my business because I've seen it run this. I've done it different ways, and this is going to be my sweet spot. Mm-hmm. I know you guys all took the Clifton test, right? John, make you take. Yeah, he after I had him on the show, he goes like, "You need to take this." So we've had our discussion over the Clifton. But what's your sweet spot? What do you like doing, and so forth? Well, that after having some experience. But as a new agent, they really don't know until they don't know what they don't know, right?
You don't. That's why I think people switch. Because you grow, you change, you don't know. And us finding each other was just kind of a miracle in itself. And we're not typical partnership. You know, we don't split 50-50 necessarily. We have our 50-50s. Like she said, we have our togethers and, you know, separates, but we also work through, I mean, we both came off a pretty hard year. I lost my father. She broke her leg. It's not funny, but it is now.
Did you say 20 places? Did I get that text message?
You know, that was right.
20 places you broke your
She
leg.
flung herself on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
I
23.
make fun of her all the time.
23.
If you want to be
Did the
exact.
truck roll over you? I mean, what happened?
You would
She
think I fell out of
fell.
a 5-story window, but that's not what happened. I slipped. Listen, I don't do anything half-assed. If I'm gonna break
20
a leg,
places?
I'm gonna break the damn leg. So yeah, 23 places. I fell. I slipped and fell on my knee.
You got a steel
and
rod in your
it-
leg now?
I do.
Oh, man.
And I shattered the femur in 23 places.
Oh, my
So I have a
goodness.
steel rod going down the leg and pins from, you know, the knee.
So you were laid up for a good bit of time.
A long time. Well, she's kind of, I mean, she's not back to 100%. I mean, she is such a trooper. I mean, she's on meds. And I mean, some pretty strong, I mean, look, that's a big break.
I wouldn't have noticed that.
And she's on some strong meds and she's on the
That
phone
I'm
with
on
me.
meds?
Yeah, is she on meds right now?
She's on the phone with me going, okay, I'll take care of that. Within 20 minutes of the conversation, I'm like, okay, so you're going to do, yeah, okay, I gotta do it. She's out.
That's when it first happened.
I was
And
like,
I was medicated. I'd be talking to her, and I'd be
but
like,
that's her dedication.
and I'd be like, okay, Heather, I gotta go. She's like, are you? No, like I gotta go now. I'd
Like
hang
they're
up the phone
kicking
and
in.
I'd pass out.
Yeah.
Because the medicine
Yeah.
would kick in.
Yeah.
But she said, I will do this. I will make these calls. I mean, that is her dedication. Now, I knew she would not remember this conversation at all, so I was doing it. But
My heart was in it.
it is. That is her dedication. Like, she was worried about work and her business, and our partnership, that's how our partnership grew even more, is we adapted. I was on the road showing every house. What did you count it up? 2 months worth of houses were 100.
Yeah, it was
80
like
some
showing?
182 homes or something like that
In 2 months.
2 months.
I did everything because she couldn't leave, but she took every phone call. She did every computer app and organization and every
Okay, so
single
this is
thing.
interesting. So you were kind of forced to change your business
We had
because of the
to.
situation. So what did you pull out of that?
We can adapt to anything.
We can do anything.
Okay, but I mean, how you actually did your business, because now you were free of the phone calls. You knew you had someone that you had confidence in and could trust to take the phone call and know it was, things were being done. How did that make you feel in getting? Because you got out and showed 180 something homes.
Yeah.
Well, she was exhausted too.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
Well, I
I
would
would
say she
never,
wasn't
ever
going to
do
be
that
exhausted.
again.
Never.
Yeah.
We knew we could do it. We had to do it. There was no way around it. We weren't going to drop the ball with our clients, but I was completely exhausted. She was sick and tired of being on the phone and the computer and everything. I mean, she was scheduling my life.
Yeah.
She's like, you're going to show this house, you're going to show this house, then you're going to take a bathroom break. And then you're going to go here, and then you're going to get some
not even
lunch.
kidding.
And it literally, it was on my phone like that.
Right.
This is when you take a bathroom break.
Right.
I had no control over it because she needed to, because I was out on the road.
Well, I'm touching on it because I had a friend of mine. He's with EXP, and he's following a program through his leadership there.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things was getting a virtual assistant that is handling a lot of that other things. And he, hopefully this spurt, continues for him. But he's just felt immediately he got a couple listings that week. He had other time, and he got stuff done that he had been putting off for too long.
Yes.
And so forth. So when Danielle was forced to be home to get some of that stuff done because she couldn't go out, but allowed you to go out and do where you really make the money, right? That's showing and showcasing the homes or doing the listing appointments or whatever.
It is, and we did as best we could. I won't say that people didn't fall through the cracks because I couldn't be everywhere at once. And when you have a multitude of people wanting to see a house in one day, I can only do so much.
Yeah.
And she was just nonstop on that phone trying to fit everybody into the schedule as possible. It just, we made it happen. We worked, and when she was able to come back out,
Do you think you might have gotten a little bit of business because the phone was actually being answered?
we never miss a call.
Oh, we always
ever.
answer the phone.
I
No
mean, if
matter
you
what
call
we're
us, we
doing.
do not miss a call.
You're showing a house, you'll stop and take the call?
One of us will. We have a number that
Oh,
rings to both of us at the same
It
time.
goes to the other one if the one doesn't answer,
Correct.
type thing. Okay.
So we know that if
I'm
it's
just
not
wondering. I'm
answered-
just wondering if you you dug in there because I think you have 2 assistants now, if I saw on your website correctly, right?
We have a showing assistant, and we have a transaction coordinator, and we have an ISA.
They're totally dedicated to you guys.
Everyone except for the ISA, she works with another agent also.
Okay, all right.
But Luna helps other agents too.
When did you bring on? I mean, this is the challenge of whether in the loan officer world, those who are operating their business the way the top people are operating, in the same way in the real estate world, where you've reached your lid and you need to branch out. When did you make that first hire?
When we were at Roundtable, we had a team that we recently just restructured. So we had a team of agents, and like 4 or 5 of them at one point in time. But we never seeked any of them out. They all came to us, which was wonderful. And that's when we decided, we talked about it, but that really pushed us to start our team. Was a few years ago.
Now you have
right
any,
at
you know,
Roundtable.
you just, it's just the 4 of you now. You're
Correct.
2 and 4.5.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a dream of bringing on agents like you had at Roundtable, or
We
is
don't
that
know.
really?
We had them at Momentum too. We just kind of recently restructured, mostly because we want them to have the best business they can have also. And sometimes you need to be pushed out of the nest to do that. And also, we need to make sure that we're focusing and loving on our clients and not just spending a whole bunch of time training.
Right.
We really wanted to get back to focusing and loving on our clients again.
Well, I think it goes back to that, the Clifton test, right? What is your sweet spot? What makes you happy? And then if sitting there, bringing on new agents and making, because I think, again, in our world, in the real estate, you bring on some people, and I think you lead with the heart, as you guys mentioned in your thing. And when someone leaves, that you think like, oh man, if they just would get out of bed in the morning and just come in and do the basic things that we're telling them to do, they would they would still be here, but they're not doing it. And every time they leave, it rips some of your heart away, doesn't it?
I mean, we're lucky enough to be friends with, I think, everyone who was at one point on our team.
Right.
And they all are striving and doing very, very well. And, one's even become a site agent because that worked better for her life.
Right.
And we kind of worked through that with her, going, she just doesn't have the time for it. But the
Right.
site agent worked phenomenal for
Well,
her.
you had the maturity to let them and I don't know whether that person led themselves that way, or to say, hey, let's find you something you're better at. You're a great person, and
Yes.
find maybe it's a transaction coordinator. I've heard a recent story where actually it was someone I follow in the mortgage world, where he actually helped that person go get a degree or a training in a certain area that's really what their love was. And because they weren't an A player in his team, and that's what he wanted was A players.
Right.
And he helped that B or C player go find something that he really loved, because they lead with the heart, and that person can only say great things about you on the other side.
And that's what we want. I mean, we just had dinner with one of the agents who isn't on our team anymore, but we adore him. He is a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
And he's striving, on his own. We see his smiling face, we see his posts, and we're like, that's you. That's it right there. That's him.
Yeah. So since we're kind of on, we've mentioned the Clifton test a few times. What did you do? You guys are similar, or are you actually? How different are you?
Do you remember the results? I don't. I would
We
have to go
weren't
back and
quite the same.
Yeah.
We did have one that was the same, and everything else was different.
Is that, you think that might be why you guys actually blend together? Because you do need to find that
sure.
someone who's got the strengths in other areas to make it work.
We have to. I mean, I think that's what makes us such a great team. And like I said, with us talking all the time, I mean, our common goals bring us together. We want to be successful. We want to really take care of not just our clients, but people. We both love animals, which is so when we're showing a client a house and we see a dog walking down the road, we literally pull the car over with the client in the car going, I'm sorry, 1 second. We have rescued dogs, turtles. I mean, it's been crazy. They're walking down the road and we find the house, and our clients have been very, very receptive of it. And we even work with a kitty rescue place, which
So
we support.
It sounds. I mean, your match here. You have
We're a good
you have
match.
common background.
She's my sister from another
Yeah,
sister.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I call her.
And then when it comes to the personality test or the Clifton test, your differences are the right differences that are making you guys blend together. You know, I mean, do
complement.
you guys like have arguments occasionally?
Oh,
like
gosh,
like two
yes.
sisters?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you ones like, okay, we can't go to bed until we resolve this, or we're like, you know, I'm gonna talk to that biddy tomorrow. In your mind, you don't say that out loud.
I think we've had one really big argument where I'm like, I'm gonna get off the phone before I say something I regret.
Yeah. Luckily, she was in another state. I think
Yeah.
we were in Ohio, right?
I was in Ohio.
She was very stressed. I was very stressed. I can't remember what it was about, but I could hear her tone. She could hear my tone. We were both like, okay, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I'll
okay,
talk
go.
to you in a few
Fine.
hours.
And I don't think we
Talk
talked for like 2 days, which is
Right.
probably the longest
I think that's the longest we've ever gone.
Right.
in
Ever.
5 years
Right.
that we didn't talk every day, which was weird.
Or do you? I generally will like. I mean, even people I haven't seen in a long time that are good friends. I'll pick up the conversation almost like we just saw each other yesterday. Are you guys like that? You just like
Well, we see each other.
you
every day.
have a thought from yesterday and you just start talking about it.
Well,
again.
I say she's my work wife.
Right.
Okay, so much so that when I did break my leg, I was actually with Tia that night, and I was at the ER. My husband had come.
Tia threw you out of the car.
Tia, no, she didn't throw me out of the car. But so I was in the ER, and my husband's like, "Do you need me to call your mother? Like, who do you want me to call?" Like,
Oh, Heather.
I'm not kidding, because
Yeah.
she had just left to go to Orlando for the weekend with her husband, and I said, "Call Heather." He's like, "You don't want me to call you?" Like, you gotta call Heather. We had a whole day.
Right.
The next day that I was going to be showing new. I mean, we have a business.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you gotta call. And she didn't believe my husband when he called. She thought he was
I was
pranking her.
joking.
You know, obviously you guys mesh together on a lot of things, but your business attitude, your business work ethic. Would you say? I mean, if you guys
Yes.
weren't in the same room, would you say that you guys are equally?
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh,
Yes,
yeah.
One wouldn't say like, oh, she takes vacations all the time.
No. 'Cause you know what? Because it all evens out, and we know that. Like Heather will go in because her kids are at college. She'll take week vacations. She'll take long weekends and go. My kids are in high school. I
Right.
can't just pick up and go. So, but I may take blocks of time.
Right.
Like I make dinner for the family, and everybody's home. I have
You
to
guys know what goes around comes around. and
Exactly.
That's our attitude towards it.
It's just different.
I'm
Yeah.
going to wrap up because I know you guys had an appointment in the electricity arena. So we talked about education earlier. We talked a little bit about mentorship, but I mean, how important is it surrounding yourself or going to events and being around other successful agents? You know, being around John and Brittany or there's other great people at Momentum. I mean, how important is to mix and mingle with them a little bit on a regular basis?
You can answer that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not saying this, but I'm just using those as an example. Do you hang out with other successful agents, and maybe still with Roundtable that you're still
We do. We do have other agents. In fact, we have.
Does Howard still invite you over to the neighborhood cookout?
Well, he is in my neighborhood, so
Yes.
he can't get rid of me. So.
You just show up. Okay.
I mean, he has to drive by my house all the time. So. But we when we first started together and everything, we did not go to any of these events. Honestly, we just felt like we didn't have time, and we wanted to be with our client more than we did in a realtor event.
We're both very self-motivated.
Yes.
We don't need like the rah-rah. We don't need that.
Right.
We already, that's instilled.
But then, we started going to a few of them, and we started meeting some other agents, and we really started, meeting these
Right.
agents, like
Right.
really delving into it, and we're like, wow, there's some of these people that they are so. We gravitated towards several of them, and we do dinners, and we go to events, and we see, and we keep meeting new people, and I love to pick people's brains. What is it you're doing, and you're doing something completely different. Absolutely love that, and I love hearing how successful they are, and they're all different. Every single thing that each one of these top agents does
Yes.
is completely different.
Yes. So someone out there, I mean, this is you felt it's moved your business. Because I think a good part of our business is our attitude. And we just say, yeah, I got a good attitude. I don't need to hang out with other people. When you start hanging out with these other successful people, although they have pains through the day, as we all do, a contract fallout, whatever, how did they resolve it? What was their what did they learn from it so that you know what to do next time? Maybe you have that situation and you might get on the phone with them, let alone with multiple offers on a house, that one of those people might be on the other end of the offer and they know you, and that they can trust you that, hey, I've got a good client here, this is going to go, or whatever it is that helps you win that offer.
We've been very, blessed to have so many of these top agents that we're friends with. I mean, Nikki, Roseanne, Shonda, Melissa Ricks, most recently we met her through a dinner, and all of these agents, just have been absolutely wonderful with sharing.
Yes.
They share, they care, and when you're having a bad day as an agent, sometimes if you're not an agent, you do not understand that this is, here I just lost $35,000 today. And they're like, well, you didn't have to be, other people are, you didn't have to begin with. Well, yes, but I've been working 7 months with this person and this or happened. Another agent understands that. Sometimes you're like, meet me for wine. And they're like, I'm on it. Yeah. You don't even have to explain.
And would you recommend not putting that on Facebook?
Which part?
Your bad day.
I'm not
a big fan. I'm not big. I think you're 100% right. You need to be able to call somebody.
Yeah. I don't think we do.
Hey man, have you ever had this happen to you or whatever, and you console? I see some stuff on Facebook. I'm like, call one of your real estate friends.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
Don't complain.
If something happens, she's my first call. I'm her first call, because we know and we can get it all out, and it's not something that we don't live there, but we do have those moods, we do have those times, and we are sounding boards to each other. And when she's like that, I'll pick her up. When I'm like that, she'll pick me up.
Exactly.
We move forward.
To call and confide in someone that understands why you're frustrated.
Right.
Because the average person doesn't. Well, you got 3 other deals and you lost that one. So what are you crying about? Which is really the truth.
It is the truth, and you can't.
But we need another agent
business.
that understands us. Or a loan officer or whatever.
We're very, very lucky and very grateful to have the business we have. And I think when sometimes people do a lot of complaining on Facebook, I'm like, why are you? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Last formal subject or question: consistency. One of the top things that I find in the top agents is they're doing something or multiple things consistently. Can you think of 1 or 2 things that you do consistently? Whether it might be just getting up and you're making calls every Monday morning to generate news. I don't know what is it that you guys do that you feel is very important in your business, and it must be done daily, weekly, or monthly, whatever you're doing.
Well, and I know it's going
to
sound funny,
We'll go to the integrator on this, because that's the...
Consistently, we're always evolving. Like, we're never stagnant. We're never in the same place for a long period of time, right? So we're always looking to change. We always revamp something. But one thing that we do every single day, or at least try to, is call our database. Basically, we make it a point.
So
we
many
have
calls a day.
Every day. Well, however many is listed. So the CRM that we have, everybody's on a plan, an action plan, and it will prompt us to call or text or anything. So we always do that every single day. We're always making calls.
Your database, meaning whether it's someone who hasn't done business with you but has talked to you, maybe not have done a transaction, so you're following up with them to see if they're doing anything.
Correct.
Or even they would probably throw a past client on there, maybe from last year. You're calling, quarterly or whatever your plan is.
We check in with past clients every 6 months, every 30 days, and then every 6 months, past clients, and then we do year anniversaries. So maybe this month, all the people who bought July of last year will pop up, and we reach out to them, asking for referrals, sending out anniversary cards, and then of course the clients that we're currently working with or could potentially be working with, and we make those calls. How are you doing? Have you seen anything you like? Do you want to
cards, calling? What was some of the other things you?
We do birthdays. We do their anniversaries. We do their house anniversaries. Plus just the touch bases, plus our events.
Every opportunity you can, within reason, you're not doing it daily calling them, but obviously so many months or weeks apart consistently. That is, would you say, because the natural ability for you guys to build relationships, we talked about that earlier. So that's comfortable for you. I think, would you agree that the difference between a top producer and someone who maybe down there who wants to is not breaking through is because they're probably not working that database. Maybe the transaction didn't go as smoothly as they would hope. And I know in the loan officer world, we have to deal with that all the time, as much hoops that we've got to jump through, and some clients are better than others. That when it's all done, when they close on their house, they kind of, you have that opportunity to re-grab them, even if it was a rocky transaction at that point to follow up. It's when you don't follow up, it may muster. But then others just forget about it altogether. And hey, they close on their house and they just forget about what happened the previous 30 days.
Case in point, we had a rocky closing recently that we didn't think much was going to come out of that. When this morning we got a referral from that said client. We've had people that we drip on for 2 years that we met once at an open house, and because we call, we text, we email, 2 years later she picks up the phone and says, "Okay, guys, I'm ready to buy." It's like, wait, who are you again?
I'm out of my Ryan Serhant books, but if you read his original one, the first one, Selling Like Serhant, he tells a story in there how he had a client like that. He dripped on him with a postcard. I think it was quarterly, and then after like 4 years, out of the blue, the guy just called up and said, "Hey, Ryan, I want to buy this $17 million, apartment in New York City."
Okay.
So he calculated it was like $200 and some odd a day.
Right.
That is what he made because he continually kept touching base with him, sending that guy a postcard and reaching out to him.
I say all the time, it's not that people are not interested; they're just not interested right now.
Right. Exactly.
It's just timing. So
I'm gonna wrap up. 2-minute warning because I know you guys got an appointment. You're already late. So, what's your favorite thing to do in Northeast Florida?
Eat.
shop and go to the beach.
Beach.
Is that
common one?
All three? Eat, shop, and go to the
What's
beach.
your favorite? What's a good restaurant you've been to recently?
Where did we just? It was where was the one we ate with Lena and Eric? I cannot remember the name right now.
Next
was
to
awesome.
Nona Blues, which we love.
Nona-
Yeah, we love Nona
That's
Blues.
Italian. Is that the
Aqua
Italian?
Grill?
Aqua Grill.
Yeah.
So it was right behind Nona Blues at Aqua Grill. That was phenomenal.
Aqua
Great
Grill's out of
restaurants.
Ponte Vedra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's some of our favorites.
We love Cats on the Water.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a classic there. Is it more important who you know or what you know?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think the who you know will get you them, but the what you know will keep them.
I like that. Danielle,
Good answer.
you ditto that?
I was going to say, we believe in what you know, but politically, who you know.
Well, I mean, our business is relationships, so that's
Right.
just what it came to, and,
Right.
and it's who you know introduces you. But after you're past the ball now,
Exactly.
you've got to deliver,
You gotta bring it.
or otherwise you're not going to get past the ball again, right?
Exactly.
Ladies, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. I wish you guys a great. You guys some appointments to go to. Was
Yes.
this the sales
Yeah.
listing?
Yep.
You're running late, so I'm going to let you run out of here, and I will pack up all this equipment. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
coming to our makeshift studio today.
It works.
All right, I'm going to go shut off our Facebook Live.
Thanks.
you.
The power stayed on. That's good.
Huh?
The power stayed on.
Yeah. Yay for the power.